Hi there, this is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video, we're discussing Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, written by Benjamin Stevenson. It's a great book. It's a mystery, but it's an old school mystery, along the lines of all the rules in those mysteries from decades ago. So it's just a really tight and really gripping mystery. It will keep you guessing right to the last moment. It's set in a very, very small footprint. So it's set in a ski resort in Australia. And in this resort, the characters get snowed in. So the author has a very, very small footprint to play with, but he makes the most of it. And he just writes a great tale. And I think this is a marvelous book. Before we jump to the plot, I forgot to show you the cover. So here's the cover. Two things interest me about this book. The cover and the blurb at the back. The blurb is very short, but it's very sharp as well. And again, this is a really great book. Ernest Cunningham is going to tell us a story about a crime that takes place. But it's interesting how this story is told. So the narrator, Ernest, he's writing it. And he tells us he's writing it because he's writing a book. And it's a book about a true crime. And he's also writing it in, the way mystery is written. So it's very, very intriguing, that writing style and how it's constructed. He tells us at the very start certain things. He tells us that everybody in his family has killed somebody, and he also tells us about key things that happen. Well, not so much key things, pivotal things, but certain things that happen in the book, and even gives us page numbers. And that's very interesting because he also talks about how a writer in mystery shouldn't foreshadow, shouldn't give anything away at the start, should let things unravel as the story goes on. But he spoils that as well by giving us some page numbers and certain things that happen. So it just seems a very intriguing way to construct this story. But it does make for a great mystery, and you get a sense that this story was really well plotted and really well thought out. The author just has a really good grasp of how to let the story develop organically and hold things back, control the story, control the narrative, and also control the characters as well. That the characters, when he's writing them, they don't give things away in their actions, what they're saying, what they're doing. And I enjoyed that. It just was so well crafted. So the Cunningham family are all at this ski resort, and they're there because Ernest's older brother is being released from prison. So they're having a bit of a reunion because of that for a couple of days. And what we find out is Ernest is the reason why his brother is in prison, because Ernest testified against him for a crime. I'm not going to go into details about the crime and all that stuff. You can find that out in the book. But it just sets up a lot of tension with the family. And you get a sense it's there because it's just the way the characters are written, how they act, how they speak to each other in the book, how they move around the scenes as well. There's tension between them, all because of that in the history. So while we're at the ski resort, we do meet the family, extended family I should say. So we meet sister-in-laws, aunts and uncle, we meet potential ex-sister-in-law, all different things. And some characters, stand out more than others, and I engage with some characters more than others, but I'll go into that in more detail in the section on characters. But anyway, while they're at the ski resort, somebody turns up dead. Not one of our main characters, but a mystery person. And that's where the mystery starts. A body's found out in the snow, and the body is discoloured, looks black, and people assume it's frostbite. But we learn more later on that maybe it's not frostbite. And then a bit later on in the story, a second body turns up, and the cause of death looks the same as the first body. So do we have a killer on the resort, and is this a serial killer? Who knows? And they're the questions that have to be answered, and it's really gripping and tense because everybody's trapped in this resort. They can't get out, and nothing can get in because the storm's so bad. So are these people trapped with a killer? And the solving of the mystery, being done by somebody who's not an authority, doesn't work in law enforcement, that makes it slightly cozy mystery in a way as well. Just the way it's written as well feels like that. But it's just such an intriguing story. And the narrator, that voice, is very consistent, very, very descriptive, and very insightful. sometimes cutting, sometimes witty, sometimes caring in the narrative, but I just found the narrator's voice was so intriguing and so engaging. If you do enjoy a good mystery, and a mystery that doesn't give things away, and a mystery that doesn't rely on some of the modern tropes that happen in modern thrillers and mysteries, I suggest giving this book a go. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to go out and try to find other books by the same author because I think they'll probably be just as good as this. Ernest, our main character and our narrator. I really like this character. His voice is so consistent and so insightful, and he's got this wit and sometimes cynicism, sometimes a little bit snarky but sometimes caring as well. And he seems to be sometimes the voice of reason amongst his family. And that's strange because he's not always that. So while he's consistent, he does have little flaws, but those flaws are consistent through the book. And that makes him feel very real as a person and a character in the story. I really enjoyed Ernest in this book, and a lot of things happen to Ernest, some big, some small, but he has a lot of growth and development in the story, but he has a lot of scenes, a lot of action as well. And I just found this character, Ernest, was very complete, basically a perfect character. Catherine is Ernest's aunt, and she's there a lot of the time for comic relief. She's the organiser of the family. She's the one who organises this reunion between them all. And she loves her lists, loves spreadsheets and all these things. And she gets upset when things don't go to plan. But there's other things to her character as well that I won't go into because I might spoil some of the things in the story. But she's another character that's very complete, has many facets to her. And those different facets are making up another perfect character in the story. And those little flaws, they're consistent flaws in the story as well. So the author has managed to create these characters that are flawed, they have ups and downs, they're consistent through the book and it feels so real. And Catherine's another example of that. Sophia is Ernest's stepsister. And I enjoyed this character because, again, she's got many facets. In the story, she is a surgeon. But she has her own things going on in her life, her own secrets. And she has flaws as well. She has ups and downs. Even while they're staying at this resort for a couple of days, she has ups and downs. But she feels very consistent as a character because all the things that happen to her, even in the past before we get to this storyline, they make sense to her character and they're explained very well. So the way her character is described in the book, the way she's presented in the story, her dialogue, her actions, are all consistent with who we get a picture of in the story. So another perfect character in the story, another real character, you can picture her. And the other thing I like about her is she's almost like a black sheep because she stays friends with Ernest while other people in the family don't like him because of the recent past. And I found that just made Sophia a bit more engaging in the story. I really enjoyed this book, and I think this is the first book in a series. The second book is due out maybe October this year, and I'm looking forward to that as well. And I want to get my hands on that and read that because I think it will be just as good as this one. I rate this a 5 out of 5. I enjoyed everything about it. I enjoyed the setting. I enjoyed the mystery so much. It's so great to read like an old school mystery. It doesn't rely on these tropes that are almost tricks going on in the story, cop-outs sometimes that become tropes in modern mysteries and thrillers. On my channel, I do review a lot of mysteries. If you enjoy mysteries, check out my channel and subscribe. There's also a mystery playlist on my channel. It should be on your screen now.